What if the pain you're feeling isn't yours? What if the reason you're exhausted isn't because you're broken, but because you're carrying a curse that's not even yours to begin with? And what if June is your only chance to release it before it repeats for another 700 years, Virgo? You were never the problem. You were the pattern breaker. But you forgot. And now, the pattern is back louder, heavier, and ready to choose someone new. Unless you say no. For Virgo, June has always been a cosmic mirror, a time when the soul stirs before the mind catches up. You see, 700 years ago, a contract was written in the language of stars and silence, a promise made before birth, a mission wrapped in the quiet threads of time. And now that agreement is vibrating again, not because anything is broken, but because something ancient is reactivating in you. Maybe you've noticed it in small ways. You start waking up at the same hour every night, somewhere between 3 and 4 a.m., with your heart racing but no fear. You crave more silence than usual. You find yourself pulled toward candles, salt baths, writing rituals you never needed before. Or maybe you're feeling more emotional, even raw, like your skin is thinner and everything is touching you more deeply. That's not regression. That's resurrection. Virgo energy isn't loud. It doesn't scream or demand. It whispers, guides, and remembers. And when the world forgets the importance of detail, of quiet, of healing through truth, Virgo returns, not to save the world in chaos, but to realign it from the inside out. That's the pull you're feeling. That's the call in your bones. This month, you're not just going through emotional waves. You're standing in front of a doorway that hasn't opened in 7 centuries, a doorway only accessible through alignment. And Virgo, alignment is your gift, the restlessness. It's the inner knowing that the door is real this time, that your life is about to move from orbiting to anchoring, that your intuition is no longer a whisper, it's a drumbeat. You may feel alone in this, but you're not. Thousands of Virgo souls around the world are awakening in this very same moment, feeling the same silent pull, having the same conversations with themselves, asking the same question. Why now? Because June is not a coincidence. It's a gateway, a return to a contract long buried under centuries of noise. You don't need to remember every detail. You just need to know this your soul does. And this time, you're not being summoned to suffer. You're being summoned to remember, to realign, to rise. So if you felt off, disconnected, maybe even disoriented, good. It means you're in motion. It means the portal is real. And it means you're one of the few who can feel it. That's the beginning. The moment your soul starts to whisper back, saying, I'm here, I remember, I'm ready. Let me give you something more concrete. Imagine this: a woman named Ellie, Virgo's sun, has lived most of her life feeling like she's too much, too detailed, too emotional, too responsible. Every job she's taken, she's ended up fixing systems no one else noticed were broken. Every relationship, she's the one carrying emotional weight, healing wounds she didn't cause. And recently, without warning, she's been having vivid dreams of walking barefoot through stone corridors, hearing chants in a language she doesn't understand. This is not fiction. It's happening everywhere. These moments, these pulls, are not random. They are soul echoes, reminders of roles you once played, gifts you once used, power you once carried, power that scared others so much it had to be buried. But now that fear is gone, what's left is the truth, and a world finally ready to hear what Virgo has to say. This June, you don't need a massive sign. You are the sign. You're the signal. You are the soul the prophecy spoke of, stepping back into alignment not with noise, but with clarity, not with force, but with devotion. Because that's what Virgo does best. Not dominate, but restore. Not overpower, but recalibrate. And that recalibration, it begins with you saying yes. You don't need to feel ready. You only need to feel willing to feel more, willing to trust what you know without proof, willing to walk through a door that only opens from the inside. Virgo. The lock was never broken. The key was always you. If you felt like something's coming, something's shifting, something big but quiet, that's because it is. The gateway is not metaphorical, it's energetic. And this month it's open completely. To understand why you're feeling so much in this moment, we need to go back, way back. Not just decades or centuries, but 700 years ago, into the heart of medieval Europe. It was the 1300s. The air was thick with fear. The Black Plague was ravaging towns and cities. Superstition ruled daily life, and anything that couldn't be explained with force or doctrine was branded dangerous. Astrology wasn't a personality test back then. It was seen as a form of prophecy, of threat. And those born under Virgo, those with a natural ability to sense patterns, to predict energy shifts, to feel unseen truths, were not honored. They were feared, labeled witches, branded heretics, whispered about in fear. Because Virgo didn't just observe the world, they refined it. They saw the cracks before anyone else noticed. And in a world that was crumbling, that kind of insight was dangerous. Imagine being someone who could feel illness in the air before anyone coughed. Imagine speaking truth to a leader whose power was built on lies. That was the Virgo lineage. They were the quiet healers, the midwives of transformation, the keepers of sacred cycles. But the world wasn't ready for that level of precision. So what did it do? It silenced them. Many Virgo ancestors were forced underground. Their wisdom was hidden. Their rituals passed only through whispers and symbols. And as the centuries went on, this suppression turned into a soul echo, one that says, stay small. Don't speak unless you're sure. Help quietly, and don't expect recognition. That's not humility. That's historical trauma wrapped in spiritual memory. Even now, in modern times, you may feel this push-pull inside you. You know you have insight, but you hesitate. You feel the urge to share, but you censor. You sense the problem before it happens. But you hold back because the world still doesn't know what to do with that kind of clarity. That's not just your personality, that's legacy. A legacy of being told that your voice, your truth, your gifts are too much. But here's what they didn't understand back then, and what many still don't get now. Virgo energy isn't here to control. It's here to correct. It's not about ego. It's about alignment. And when Virgo is allowed to operate fully, systems heal, people grow, timelines recalibrate. So if you've ever felt like the world doesn't see you for what you carry, it's not your fault. It's ancient conditioning. But now, that conditioning is unraveling. And your clarity, your pattern recognition, your deep knowing, those are the very tools we need to rebuild a broken world. You're not the background support anymore. You're the blueprint holder, and the world is finally catching up. Let's make this more real. Think about how often Virgo gets dismissed in everyday life. The friend who always knows when something's off but gets called paranoid. The coworker who spots a broken process but gets told they're nitpicking. The partner who feels when energy has shifted in a room but is told they're being too sensitive. These are not personality quirks. They are modern expressions of an ancient wound. One story passed down in spiritual circles tells of a Virgo woman in 1325 who served as a healer in secret. She used herbs, energy work, and intuition to help people during the plague until a neighbor accused her of sorcery. She was silenced, her name erased, her truth buried. That's not just a story of the past. That vibration still exists in the collective memory, and some part of you, maybe the most intuitive part, remembers. The beauty in all of this is that cycles can break, and they break when awareness enters. That awareness is rising now. You are not in 1325, you're in 2025, and this time, When your truth rises, the world won't burn you for it. It will heal because of it. But you have to stop hiding from your own brilliance. The veil is thinner this June. The energy is more sensitive, and your voice, it's more needed than ever. You don't need to shout. Just speak. You don't need to fight. Just align. Because your lineage didn't end in silence. It survived. And now it's time for it to rise. Let's get something straight. Not all curses are cast by others. Some are inherited. And the most dangerous ones, they don't come from the outside. They grow quietly from within. Not from spells, but from silence. Not from enemies, but from patterns. For Virgo, this curse doesn't wear a dark cloak or chant at midnight. No, it wears your face when you shrink. It speaks in your voice when you hold back your truth. It shows up in the way you say yes when you want to say no. In the way you swallow your brilliance just to keep the peace. That's the real curse. And it's been passed down for centuries, not through blood, but through behavior. Here are 5 powerful signs it's still running in your system. 1, you feel unseen, no matter how much you give. You anticipate everyone's needs. You fix things before they fall apart. You hold emotional space even when no one asks. And still, you're overlooked. Not because you're not radiant, but because you've been conditioned to dim your light to make others comfortable. 2, you carry pain that isn't yours. You're the one who listens when others break, the one who makes space for everyone else's crisis. But over time, you confuse love with sacrifice. You start believing that being needed is the same as being valued. It's not, and that burden gets heavy, especially when no one carries yours. 3, you fear failure, even when you're prepared. You study, you plan, you over-deliver. But when it's time to step forward, you freeze. Or worse, you sabotage. Because somewhere deep inside, there's a message that says don't be too much, don't outshine, don't stand out. That's not humility. That's ancestral programming telling you to play small. 4, you dream in symbols. Fire, ancient doors, keys, temples. These are not just dreams. They're imprints, echoes of memory stored in your soul. Your subconscious is pulling up files that were never deleted, just buried. And now, in the energy of June, they're surfacing for a reason. Not to haunt you, but to free you. 5, you feel called to something bigger, but can't name it. There's a tension in your chest, like you're meant for more, but the map hasn't been handed to you yet. That feeling isn't confusion, it's activation. You don't lack direction. You're just being asked to walk a path that hasn't been walked in 700 years. All of these are not flaws. They're signals, soul signals. They're how your higher self gets your attention when the mind won't listen. And the reason you're feeling them now so clearly, so sharply, is because the old timeline is breaking. And for the first time, you have the chance to choose differently. That's the irony of this curse. It only lives as long as you obey it. The moment you see it, speak it, and refuse to carry it any further, it dies. And in its place, power. Not the loud, explosive kind, but the deep-rooted, unshakable kind that comes when a Virgo remembers who they are. So the next time you feel the urge to shrink, pause. The next time you want to say something true, but hesitate, speak. The next time you feel alone in your clarity, remember you're not alone. You're just ahead. And this month, as the veil thins and your intuition sharpens, you're being asked to break the cycle. Not perfectly, just honestly. And that's more than enough. June isn't just another month on the calendar this year. It's a mirror, a portal, a sacred alignment that hasn't unfolded like this in over 700 years. Something subtle but powerful is happening in the skies, and more importantly, inside of you, the cosmos is shifting. And for Virgo, that shift feels like a pull from the inside out. Mercury, your ruling planet, is not just floating through space casually. It's moving into position, a position that ancient mystics once called the gate of memory. They believed that certain cosmic configurations had the power to unlock what the soul already knew but forgot. And this month, that very alignment is reactivating. You might be feeling it already. The sudden emotional spikes, the moments where you're overwhelmed by nothing and everything all at once, the way old memories, even from childhood or past relationships, suddenly resurface without warning. It's not just nostalgia. It's your soul syncing up with something ancient. The system rebooting. Some of you are dreaming in symbols, candles that won't go out, doors you almost open, water that seems to speak. These aren't random dreams. They're keys, messages, spiritual breadcrumbs pointing you back towards something you left behind in another life, or another version of yourself you've forgotten. Your body feels it too. Maybe your sleep is disrupted. Maybe you're experiencing headaches, pressure in your chest, or deep fatigue even after resting. That's your nervous system trying to keep up with what your spirit already knows, that this isn't just a season change, it's a dimensional one. And June is the window. The veil is thin, the messages are loud, and the invitations, they're sacred. But here's the thing, no one's going to send you a written invitation in gold ink. No voice from the clouds is going to say, "This is the moment," because the calling isn't external, it's internal. It's the quiet whisper saying, something's different, and you're not supposed to ignore it this time. In astrology, Virgo governs refinement, taking what's chaotic and making it ordered, aligned, and whole. And during this rare alignment, the universe is asking you to do just that, not just outside you, but within. What thoughts need refining, what beliefs are outdated, what part of you is trying to emerge but keeps getting shoved back down. The truth is, June is not asking you to be ready. It's asking you to be receptive, to be willing to notice, to soften enough to receive what's coming through. Because this isn't about hustle, it's about alignment. And alignment is Virgo's native language. So if you feel like you're standing on the edge of something, like you're about to remember something important or step into a version of yourself that feels familiar but new, trust it. You're not crazy. You're not overthinking. You're awakening. And this month is your activation window. Don't try to force it. Just don't ignore it. Sit with it. Write about it. Walk with it. Light a candle and ask your higher self what wants to be seen. Then listen. Because in June, the universe speaks in whispers, and Virgo is finally ready to hear. There's something about Virgo energy that most people miss. It's not about being perfect. It's about being precise. There's a quiet force in you that doesn't crave attention, it craves alignment. While others are trying to be loud, to be noticed, Virgo is over there noticing everything. Not because they're judging, but because they're pattern keepers, energetic architects. They see the cracks in the foundation before anyone else even realizes something is off. That's not just intuition, that's sacred responsibility. You were never meant to be the loudest voice in the room. You were meant to be the frequency that shifts the whole room without saying a word. And that's why your energy has always been misunderstood. People think you're being critical, but really, you're trying to restore order in a chaotic world. The truth is, Virgo energy holds the blueprint, the energetic DNA for healing. That means your insights, your instincts, your gut-level corrections aren't flaws. They're instructions. You've spent your life fixing what was broken, improving what others ignored, healing people who didn't even know they were wounded. And most of the time, you've done it without recognition. But that's changing. In this current season, especially during the energetic shifts of June, you're being asked to stop hiding behind the scenes. Not because you need the spotlight, but because the world needs the systems you came here to rebuild. The way you structure your day, the way you track your health, the way you create sacred routines that bring clarity, those aren't just quirks. They're medicine. You are the blueprint holder, the one who remembers what others forget, the one who can feel when something is off before it falls apart. That's not paranoia. That's perception. And it's time you stop treating your sensitivity like it's a liability. It's your compass. It's how your soul navigates the chaos. You might feel the pressure right now, the need to do more, fix more, give more. But Virgo, your power isn't in overextending, it's in refining, narrowing your focus, honoring the few things that truly matter and releasing the rest. That's where your magic lives, not in multitasking yourself into burnout, but in curating a life so aligned that it heals everyone who steps into your space. Let's be clear, your value was never in your productivity. It was always in your clarity. And when you operate from clarity, you become a stabilizer, a calibrator, a guidepost. That's the role you were always meant to play, not the fixer in the background, the architect at the center, So if you're feeling the urge to simplify, to step back and rework your life from the inside out, listen. That's your soul blueprint activating. That's your true role calling you forward. And the best part, you don't have to force anything. You just have to follow the design you were born with. Because when you live in alignment, the world around you begins to heal itself. Virgo doesn't come to disrupt. Virgo comes to repair. And that work starts now with you, within you, for all of us. Let's talk about how to break this ancient curse, not with rituals of fear, but with decisions rooted in truth. There are 5 powerful steps that Virgo can take to finally dissolve the energetic chains that have held you back for lifetimes. These aren't abstract ideas. They're grounded, practical shifts that begin within. Step 1. Forgive the version of you that stayed small, the one who kept quiet to keep the peace, the one who overworked just to feel worthy. That version of you was surviving. That version of you was shaped by ancestral patterns that said, blend in or be punished. But survival is not your purpose. Evolution is. So start here, say thank you to that old self, and let them rest. You don't need to carry their coping mechanisms anymore. Step 2. Return to your rituals. Virgo heals through rhythm and detail. Whether it's lighting a candle before bed, writing 1 page in your journal every morning, walking barefoot on grass, or making tea in silence, these small acts aren't trivial. They're how you restore your soul's rhythm. Rituals give structure to intuition. They don't need to be perfect. They just need to be yours. Think of them as the bridges between your past life memory and your present self. Step 3. Speak this affirmation daily. I reclaim my power across all timelines. Say it even when your voice shakes, especially when your voice shakes. Because this isn't just about language, it's about resonance. That phrase is a spiritual frequency. It tells the universe and your own subconscious that you're ready to retrieve the parts of you that were scattered through fear, trauma, and silence. You are calling yourself back home. Step 4. Stop seeking permission. You don't need validation to live your truth. You don't need approval to act on your knowing. The old wound in Virgo says, don't speak unless you're sure. Don't act unless it's perfect. Don't shine unless it's safe. But that voice isn't your soul. That's the ghost of suppression talking. You break the curse by choosing to move even when it feels messy. Start the project. Share the insight. Lead the room. You're not here to tiptoe. You're here to transmit. Step 5. Reclaim your spiritual voice. Maybe you've always been the one behind the scenes, organizing, supporting, holding space for others. But now you're being called to the front, to teach, to guide, to create something sacred. It might look like a book, a podcast, a healing space, a circle of souls gathering around your words. Don't wait for the right time. This is the time. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to begin. Your wisdom isn't meant to stay hidden. It's meant to ripple. This is how the curse unravels, not in a dramatic moment, but in quiet, daily choices that stack up until the old timeline collapses. Each time you honor your body's needs, each time you speak instead of shrink, each time you prioritize soul over performance, you're breaking the chain. You're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for every Virgo who came before you and every Virgo who will come after. Let this be the chapter where everything changes, where you stop waiting and start remembering, because the curse ends the moment you say, I choose me, not the me they told me to be, the me I actually am. Here's an example. A woman named Jordan, Virgo rising, always felt like the one who kept things together at work, at home, in relationships. She never complained, never broke down, always pushed through. But inside, she was exhausted. One day, she stopped. She canceled meetings. She turned off her phone. She lit a candle and sat in silence. And in that stillness, she heard it, her own voice, the one she hadn't listened to in years. Jordan didn't need a dramatic awakening. She just needed a pause. And in that pause, she realized she wasn't here to prove anything. She was here to align. That's the real magic. That's how healing begins. Not with fire and thunder, but with presence. So if you're waiting for a sign to start choosing yourself, this is it. Not because you're broken, but because you're whole and ready to live like it. The world doesn't need a perfect you. It needs the real you, the sacred, soft, fierce, flawed, remembering you. Start there. That's where freedom begins. Let's end where this all began, with the truth. You were never cursed. You were chosen, not in the flashy, spotlight-hungry kind of way, but in the deep, deliberate, cosmic kind of way. Virgo, your soul was designed with intention, precision, purpose. You were never here to fit in. You were here to stabilize what others couldn't hold. You've spent lifetimes trying to make yourself smaller, softer, more acceptable. But none of that ever worked, did it? Because your energy isn't meant to be diluted. It's meant to be lived fully. You weren't given the gifts of clarity, intuition, and refinement just to use them behind the scenes. You were given them because your role was always bigger than comfort zones. Think of all the times you noticed something before it happened, the way you could feel misalignment before it had a name, the way you've been the emotional anchor in spaces that would have collapsed without you. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's your design in motion. And now, the design is waking up. The blueprint is coming online, not to turn you into something new, but to bring you back to something ancient, to your original frequency, before the doubt, before the guilt, before the world taught you that being useful was more important than being whole. This is the moment to reclaim all of that, not in theory, but in practice. That means walking differently, speaking differently, making decisions that feel like a yes in your chest, even if they scare your mind. That means honoring your intuition as truth, not as suggestion. It means letting go of roles that were only meant to keep you safe and choosing instead to live from alignment. You've done the hiding. You've done the people-pleasing. You've done the overthinking. None of that is required anymore. What is required now is presence, clarity, and the willingness to lead by being exactly who you are. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the worth. You don't need to chase your purpose. You are the purpose. You don't need to beg for love. You are love in motion. And when you live from that truth, everything starts to rearrange around you. Not overnight, but steadily, surely, powerfully. This is the chapter where you stop asking for permission and start remembering your position. Not behind the curtain, but at the center of your life. And that doesn't mean chaos. It means coherence. It means stepping into the role you were always meant to play, not the fixer, but the calibrator. Not the assistant, but the architect. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been asking whether now is the time, the answer is yes. And if you've been wondering if you're ready, understand this. You were built for this. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. Because when you remember who you are, the curse isn't just broken, it becomes irrelevant.